Today's July 24th, 2010, 2 years after the devastating fire that destroyed my home and 200 others in the forests of Northern California. Now that my cabin's gone, this motorhome is my home. This is what most of the trees around here look like now. But there are a few green ones that survived. The ones on this mountaintop were not as fortunate. Some things that weren't quite as flammable did make it through. But not without some damage. Some birds, though, have adapted to their new habitat. And still managed to thrive. Unfortunately, another thing that managed to thrive is star thistle, which is an invasive plant that I'm trying to eradicate. One good thing that star thistle has to offer is that it makes great honey, but the spines are poisonous. It's injurious to animals that graze on it, and it's just no fun with all of its pokey stickers. Yeah, not a very good plant to be taken over. My goal today is to get as many of them pulled up and bagged up and sent away to the landfill before they go to seed. My other goal today is to appreciate the beauty around me. This quail is probably enjoying some berries that are just ripening. This dragonfly doesn't care that the branch it's landing on is no longer alive. Some of the scarred areas actually lend a sense of beauty. Such as this place, which seems to have given life to a new plant. It's found a way to sprout in the inside cavity. The sweet peas have also returned all on their own. In many old homesteads you can find them. They're an introduced species but have naturalized in many places. Some of the inhabitants of the forest are only heard, not seen. It seems the work will never end, dealing with the dead and downed wood from 60,000 acres of fire-killed trees. Somewhere up there, a woodpecker is enjoying chasing the insects that are found underneath the bark. Some trees, even though they survived the onslaught of the flames, will probably succumb to the ravages of insects and disease and just the hardships of trying to survive the fire. Some of the deciduous trees, however, are managing to sprout back from their roots, but the conifers took a hard hit. Green is returning to the hills, but mostly in the form of grass and small shrubs. It'll take a long time for the forest to reestablish naturally. This apple tree has some shoots coming up from the roots, but it remains to be seen whether they are good fruit-bearing species or if they will be the species that was grafted onto, and perhaps their main advantage is that they have a strong root structure but may not produce viable fruit. Woodpeckers are hammering away. Hopefully they'll find and eat the larvae and grubs of the bark beetle that are so destructive. The trees that remain need all the help they can get. My goal today, as every day, is to water the trees that I have growing in containers that I hope to reforest with this winter when the weather is good for transplanting. These are cedar trees. There are some pines. More pine trees here and some fir trees. Fir trees, a couple of maples, and a redwood, and 6 more redwoods here. These are not actually indigenous to this area. Some of the redwoods I will be planting come from the coast, and some are from inland, like the variety that grows in the Yosemite National Park area. The water system that I had was destroyed by the fire. So this improvised system consists of some barrels, which are filled from a source somewhat distant from here, and then the hose that delivers the water to the trees, which I'm about to do now. Here's the wonderful sound of precious water as it fills the tank. And another thing I have lots of in my nursery is lavender. Lots of lovely lavender. I plan to plant a labyrinth surrounded by lavender. There's some other things that have survived since the fire. Blackberries. Oh yes, and roses. This chimney is all that's left of a historic, over 100 years old, log cabin that stood on this site. Well, this is what I call my lemonade plan. Based on the saying, if life gives you lemons, make lemonade. So all there was dead trees for acres and acres around. But with the help of a mill, I could turn these trees into building materials to replace my home. So that's what my future hope is, that I will be able to have a home despite the destruction of the fire. Here's an example of what I usually have with me. A pocket knife or a multi-tool of some sort. Some medication which I take every day. Since I had a near brush with death by having a blood clot in my lung. And guitar picks, because as a musician I want to always be able to sing a song. Labyrinth is very important to me too. I really enjoy the cymbal and enjoyed creating them and walking them and the calming effect that it had. Is it a duck or a goose?
It's a goose.
It's a goose.
It's a goose.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I left it behind.
Preparing it for the table now.
Move it, move it. Kids, they're probably screaming.
There's my grandson.
Try that. That's duck. That's duck. Whack, whack.
There's his daddy.
Those little boys are so cute. They are.
And there's a grandma carving up the goose that was grown right here.
Yes.
Homegrown food is the best kind.
Oh, it is the best kind. Big difference. Dad, come back with your water. That makes a big difference.
This is on. I'll go.
My daughter.
How Daddy tried. That's definitely very
There's more mouths to feed. There's more mouths to
But I got
feed.
Finadani, okay, so I'm the Finadani kind.
Fry. So stir fry. Sly, don't you want to cook some flowers for us?
birdie. There's the birdie. After a picnic with the family, the moon comes up on a summer's evening.